Hey guys, we are here with Lucy and Chloe this morning. One thing I wanted to go over, so the girls just came out of their crate and they're super excited. Actually, they've calmed down just a little bit now. I let them run around the yard a little bit first. But a couple things I want to go over with some of their leash work. So especially when we're in the grass, they immediately think we're in play mode. Now, grass is always more difficult for dogs because it retains scent, unlike concrete. And usually when we are out on the road, it's because we are doing work or we're going for a walk. I typically don't let the dogs, play around when we're here. So watch the difference when I bring them to the grass. So you can already see Chloe's pulling. See, as soon as they get to the grass, they think, okay, it's playtime, it's on, right? So one thing I want to go over, I know their mom really had a difficult time with how do we understand or how do we get our dogs to understand that when they're pulling that that's not appropriate, right? So one, if you're going to be doing this in the grass, I recommend using long lines connected to just normal buckle collars. That way we are not applying pressure to the slip lead in any way. When I take my dogs out to potty, I always do the same thing. They are never allowed to pull on leash. And as soon as they do, I like to think of it like a lawnmower, right? We're going to give them like a pop and a stop, right? So right there, we'll move just a little bit because I know Chloe's going to try. So perfect. Chloe started pulling, right? So I'm going to stop moving. And instead of letting her pull herself and choke herself out, right? I planted my feet. I gave her, she had tension on. I pulled her in towards me and I released that tension. Sorry about that. Okay. So I released my tension. So right now, as soon as they start getting all worked up, come here, girls. I'm going to get them to focus on me again. And then we're going to go back out into the road. So what we're going to do, see, as soon as we get to the road, they go into like this kind of walk mode. So right there, as soon as Chloe started like pulling towards the other way. Now, this is a lot more difficult with two puppies. You have to really have good handling skills because you have to be able to use different fingers for different leashes. So like I use 2 fingers for this dog and 2 fingers for this dog. So you have to have really good handling skills for this. So I really recommend practicing with one puppy first. It also makes it more difficult for the puppies because there is a distraction of one of their sisters there, which makes it really difficult for them to focus. So right now, I'm not going to let them stand there with any pressure on my leash. Our goal is to always have a loose leash. So if we start moving and they pull me even a little bit, I do a pop and release, right? So I'm going to turn. I did a pop and release. So that's how you're going to get them to understand, no, you're not allowed to pull. You have to use a little force when you do that pop. You have to make it a correction so that they understand. See, as soon as I popped, she understood, oh, that's not allowed, right? So I gave a pop right there, pop, and notice how much Lucy slowed down as soon as I gave her that pop. Now right there, Chloe saw just something distracting, right? Pop and release, pop and release. Now, if we do this more than a few times, so that she's distracted by like a balloon or something right there. Now, if we do this more than a few times and they're not getting the cue that we need to stop moving or we need to slow down or calm down from those pops, even if they're not in a proper heel, your dogs don't always have to be in a proper heel. We still want them to understand right there. There's never allowed to be pressure on leash. If there is, they're going to get a pop, a stop, or a change direction. So if we've popped more than 2 or 3 times and they haven't slowed down at all, then we need to go to a full-on pressure on. Lucy. Lucy. All right, so she sees my cat. So distraction. Lucy, sit. Oh, Lucy. Give her a hint. Sit. Good girl. And then release. Okay, then we'll release them from that position. So it's really about follow through. Even though she sees my cat over there and she's really distracted, she wasn't even paying attention to pressure, I still have to follow through. If it just gets annoying to you and you're just like, well, forget it, she's not doing it right now, you're teaching them that they're winning and that this is how you get away with whatever you want to do. If I just stand my ground long enough and hard enough, they'll get annoyed and they'll stop. You have to have more patience than your puppy when you're doing training. Training your dog is not a quick fix. It is all about how you raise your dogs, not about teaching them, sit means put your butt on the ground every single time I ask. Your dog's not going to do that unless you have consistency and follow through 100% of the time, so that they understand this is how I behave. And if I start doing something that my owner or my handler doesn't want, they change that behavior. And we make sure that we change that behavior, because we can't expect them to just be good all of a sudden, right? They can only be what we ask them to be. So even jumping right now, right? Off. I'm not going to reinforce that jumping. She's trying to get my attention. I'm going to show her the only way they get attention off is when they're in a calm state. So Chloe sat, and now she gets attention. Lucy, sit. Same idea. Now again, you have multiple puppies. This is going to be much harder. I promise you this. One puppy, if you are giving your attention to one puppy, the other puppy is going to want attention. That is just like kids, No kid is ever going to be like, oh, she's paying attention to that kid and not me, whatever, right? Your puppies are going to be the same way. So making sure that, you have leashes on them to follow through with stepping on their leashes to help you reinforce, especially the jumping aspect with them. Chloe isn't as much of a jumper, but just recently, the past few days, actually, she's been starting to jump on me a little bit more now, just because we've grown a little bit more of a bond over the past week or so. But Lucy, when she first started, she would jump like sky high. She was probably the biggest jumper out of the four of them. But she's doing much better now, making sure that she never gets attention when she does that. So this is perfect. See, as soon as they're pulling, I pop and release. So I never let them have tension. Even if we're just outside, hanging out, chilling, we're just, they're not in a proper heel. I'm letting them just walk around. Still, no tension. Always have to have a loose leash, because then we have to have a way to communicate, right? We're saying, no, calm down. Right, calm down. And it works. Now, if they get too much, I'm going to turn. Come on, girls. Right? Get them to follow me again instead of letting them take the lead. Come on, Lucy. This way. Good girls, right? So I'm taking control of the situation, not just waiting for them to mess up and me correct it. Take control and make them do what you want them to do. Lucy. Right? So instead of letting her pull me and trying to stop it, I change the behavior, change the pattern. Lucy. Good girl. Hey, Lucy. Good girl. Good job, Chloe. Good girl, Chloe. Lucy. Good girl. Come on, girls. Come on. Right, so a lot of direction changes. As soon as they try and take the lead, I change it up on them. Right? And this is the reality of having multiple puppies. But yeah, this is just life. It's learning how to live with multiples now. So there you go. That's a good little tip for you as far as leash manners goes for working with multiple dogs. If you guys have any questions, always feel free to contact us. If you need help with your puppies, we'll actually be starting a canine kindergarten program at Pet Supermarket on Cherry Road shortly. So if you would like to sign your puppies up for our new group classes, give us a call today. We'd love to get you guys on the schedule. Have a good one.